Hope everybody had a great Friday and a great end to the week. Looking forward to the weekend. You know what time it is. Let's do some DR recaps. Um, Only one trade for me today, but I want to talk about kind of the day and how it's set up, and just some general ideas of things that I probably could have done. But anyway, so as always, we'll get started with our range. So we had a 20-point range today. Okay, and you look at 10 o'clock again. Right before 10, we had this red candle, so price came down, and 10 o'clock it went up, then it came back down. So it wasn't like a pure reversal here, but it's just amazing to me every day that 10 o'clock time frame, how it just shifts the market a little bit. So we got to 20 point range around 10:15, and I put in one of my groups. I'm like, yeah, we got 20 points already on the range. Again, our normal range is 16 to 20 plus points. I said, so we probably get a reversal, and sure enough, we reverse. Comes back up, gets back up to the IDR line. There wasn't any room between IDR and DR, either on the positive side or on the negative side here. So, literally just one line is what I looked at. Price came up, went above the DR line on the high side, but of course that didn't hold, and so then price came down. Um, if I was a little more risky, I could have taken a trade here because I knew price was coming down. I had stated that before, but really wanted to stick to my rules. Again, I keep telling you guys stick to rules, so I want to try to do it myself. Price comes down, drops down below the point 0.5 fib, all the way down, then it reverses back, and then this huge drop right around the 11:15 time frame, just drops, massive one. No trade for me. Wasn't in my trading plan, wasn't in my strategy, so there's nothing I was going to do there. So price does come down, and it closes below the DR low, right? Again, IDR and DR are like literally the same line today. So uh, so once we confirm low, and I should have taken this buy side line out, 'cause this is the line we had from yesterday. We were looking, trying to get to. Took that out early in the trading session. Um, so let's not worry about that line. But if you come down, so price confirms low, comes down. I'm like, okay, looking for the retrace. Nice retrace back above the uh, the IDR and the DR line. So where I put my order, all right, because we're supposed to do, we put our order on. My order was right on this line, which is 43.05, right? So easy math today, right? So 43.05. Actually, I'm sorry, like I put it on here because I had my 5 point stop on. And let me see, no, I had a 3 point stop on. Now I moved it up to 5 points because I started getting a little heat right here, and it wasn't. It's probably about 2 points, and I was like, well, let me just move it up and put a proper 5 point stop on. Now you notice this is a fair value gap here. It's been filled in, that's why it's not there anymore. But right about halfway is where price went to. So my stop was a little bit higher, right? So my stop was at 43.10, and price and got to about 43.06 or oh 08, looks like oh 08. So again, it got a little heat on it, but again, I'm trusting the process, right? And one of the reasons why was because this was a bearish fair value gap, and so bearish fair value gap means price is supposed to come down, and that's what ended up happening. So price comes down, got down, it went down to looks like about 43.03 maybe, and then it went back up. So I'm like, well, let me just be a little more cautious. So when price came back down again, got to 43.02, I started doing my one of my strategies, which is to move my stop loss into profit. So when I got up 3 points, moved my stop loss down to 1 point. So that way I was guaranteed at least profit enough to cover the commissions, right? But didn't want to have it reverse back on me and then stop me out in a negative territory. So I went to 1 point here. Price got down to 5 points. I moved my stop down to 3 points. And then I had moved my take profit down to 10 points, which was right on this midnight open line. Okay, so you see 42.95. So that's 10 points from where we started. So moving price down to 10 points. Once we got to about 8 points, moved my stop to 5 points. So now I'm guaranteed my 5 points. And then we just dropped. I mean, this was this is a very a wiki candle right here, but really we just dropped pretty fast down right below the midnight open, and then reversed back up just as quick. So my take profit was here, got the 10 points off of that, and then like I said, price just shot back up. And now one reason why that happens, and we talked about this before, is a lot of times, like a midnight or a sell side or buy side, they act as a liquidity grab, right? And so once it grabs some liquidity, it might shoot back up 5 or 10 points. And so if you look here, it shot up about 8 points, right, just off of that move down. Okay, so so again, had to have my stop here or my take profit here. So I got my 10 points, and that's all I really was looking for today. So we'll talk about price the rest of the day. I didn't take any more trades from a DR standpoint, because I looked back up here. Price came back up to the DR low, didn't pierce it, so not a trade for me. Could have taken a trade. I mean, it went back down, which would have been probably about another 9 points. Could have definitely got 5 points off of that trade, but it didn't go back above my DR line. So again, stick to my rules, not taking a trade. All right. So that's the second time it came down and tested that midnight open, and then reversed right back off of it. Tested it again a couple times actually, and then reversed off of it. So this hour right here, you can see midnight was really acting as a support for price. Now, one thing I want to show you guys, and if you go to a higher time frame, so this is the 5 minute we're on now. Let me take it to an hour, and I want to show you something, right? And where I say, sometimes you look at other things to see what's happening, and looking at a higher time frame, what I want you to notice, let me turn off some of this stuff here so we can see. Okay, so this is the 1 hour, and if you notice, we had this fair value gap right on that 1 hour. So this is a higher time frame, 1 hour, and if you look at this blue line, that's the bottom of the midnight open, right? That's what that dashed line is. That's the midnight open. And so what's happening is price is taking midnight out, but it's also in a fair value gap, and it's reversing off of that. And this is a bullish fair value gap. So, and there's no bearish fair value gap up here for price to come back down. So once we see that happening, then that's why I said that was my only trade for the day, because I didn't want to test this fair value gap, because again, this is bullish, right? So take it back down to the 5 minute, and I'll reset where we were. So you don't see it on here. Actually, if you take it over here, you'll see it, right? So this one, if I took this all the way across, you'll see where it actually is pretty close to that same fair value gap on the 1 hour, right? And so that's what I say. Sometimes you got to be careful of, other things or other strategies you can look at. I always like to look at fair value gaps as kind of my, kind of confluence to what DR is doing if they're available. So that's definitely one where it would have warned you that, oh, wait a minute, this is a bullish fair value gap. Price is supposed to go back up. So hard to argue with that in this case. Okay. So again, we tested this 4 times, and it held each time. All right. So, price goes back up. We come back. Let me turn back on my DR so we can see where we are. All right. Now, price came back up, and it did go above the DR here and the IDR. So you could have taken a trade here. It would have been 2 points if you were lucky enough to scalp it, right? If you're not a scalper, that's not a trade for you, right? Because you definitely probably would have came back up and got stopped out if you hadn't just taken price off or taken the trade off here. So not something that I would recommend if you're not a true scalper and okay to take 1 or 2 points off of a trade. We did a couple more tests here, but the way price was acting, this was not, there was nothing here for us to trade. Not something, when you look at trades like this and price comes down, comes back up, and then you have room to move down. Here we're just kind of in this consolidation period. So yes, there's movement here, but you'd have had to be, again, a true scalper and pretty quick on the draw to make any of this work for you. All right. So 10-point day, closed out a pretty decent week. Had a couple of losses this week. We started out with losses on Monday. Started out with 2 of them. More than made that up over the course of the week, and so that's why I always say with any of your strategies, stick to your rules and continue with your strategy, because over time, that strategy really should work for you. If it doesn't, if you're running a strategy and you're losing more than you're winning, then that strategy needs to be adjusted, all right? Or you need to look at a different strategy because reason why you put your strategy together is because you're expecting to win. And so, again, here, yes, I could have done some work here when trying to get into this trade for this to come down, but that's not part of my strategy. And there will be some instances where I will take a trade, because of some fair value gap or some ICT concept. But majority of the time, the DR is my primary strategy that I'm looking at, and specifically the ladder strategy that I kind of put together for myself. So, it's one of those things where you have to be comfortable with your risk tolerance and what is you want to do. And if I had taken this trade, could I have gotten stopped out? Maybe. But for me, I likely would have gotten out before, it got too bad. I would have not taken a full 5-point loss on this trade because that's just my mentality around how I trade. I'm okay with taking a 1-point profit. I'm okay with taking, 2 points of loss if I don't have to take 5 points of loss. But again, that's because I'm trusting the strategy that I have to work for me in the majority of the time. So, if I lose a couple, I don't worry about it too much because I'm figuring I'm going to get it back. Now that may sound cocky to some, but for me, it's proven itself over time to be that's just how it works out. And so, that's my soapbox for the night. Trust your strategy, trust yourself, continue to do what you think is the right thing for you and how you want to work with the market. But that's it. Again, hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll kick off again Sunday night, looking at see what the Asian does at Sunday night around 8:30. Hopefully, Miami Heat will be winning, and I don't know if they play Sunday. Whenever they play, I know they play tonight, but hopefully they'll win, and it will make it a good series again. But anyway, you guys have fun, have a great weekend. But don't forget, next week is a brutal week. PMI, CPI. Probably FOMC, whatever you can think of is happening next week. So, don't be in a rush to trade next week. Monday is kind of a free day, is what I call it. But Tuesday through Friday, there's a lot of stuff going on. So, keep your head on a swivel, as we say, and enjoy. All right. Any questions, comments? You know what to do. Otherwise, we will talk to you later. Have a great one.